Can a person become too rich? So rich that the wealth starts to become a threat to society? If so, shouldn't we put a limit on how much wealth any one person can have? And what should, in that case, that limit be?
Why billionaires should be illegal. Now, this channel has been putting out phenomenal videos. I mean, like, the production is ridiculous. And it's not getting near as many views as it should. That's my perspective. It's crazy because channels like this one, like right here, I'm doing a reaction sometimes, and not right now because I don't have a big following, but there are some reaction channels that just get a ton of views and they don't put in any effort in the videos. But this video is by The Market Exit. I've been watching a lot of his videos and I think that his production's amazing, but this one is his most watched video. And so we're going to watch it here. We're going to do some reaction to it, and then hopefully you're going to go check out his channel and check out this video yourself. So let's get into it.
This is the headquarters of H&M, the company that has produced this shirt that I'm wearing, but that has also produced Sweden's richest man, Stefan Persson. Here's how rich Stefan Persson is. If a salesperson at an H&M store would save every penny of her salary, it would still take her over 500,000 years to save up as much money as Stefan Persson has today. And if you think that's a lot of money, wait until you hear about Elon Musk. So Elon, currently the world's richest man, has as much wealth as 11 Stefan Perssons. With his money, Elon could fund 8 Manhattan projects, or he could pay for an army of 100,000 top-level Blackwater mercenary soldiers for a period of 10 years. Or he could fund the complete operations of the United Nations.
Okay, now I don't want to interrupt the video as much as possible because I know that's what's annoying about reaction channels, but you should go check out this full video if you want no interruptions at all. Aside from all of the crazy facts that he's saying, look at the freaking editing. It's amazing, right? The graphics is phenomenal. There's another video that he does where he talks about Adobe and shows all of the work that he does to get stuff like this. It's insane. He puts a lot of effort in his stuff.
For more than 14 years. Can a person become too rich? So rich that the wealth starts to become a threat to society? If so, shouldn't we put a limit on how much wealth any one person can have? And what should, in that case, that limit be? So if I ask you this question, how much money is enough for you? How much money do you need to have in your bank account to fully flourish in life? $100,000? $1 million? $10 million? Or do you believe that it's impossible to have enough? Like the American billionaire John D. Rockefeller, who when journalists asked him how much money is enough, famously...
Okay, well, let me check my bank account real fast. Got about $27 in there, so let's say $27 is about enough. It's not a phone, by the way. It's my external hard drive.
replied, just a little bit more. It turns out that many researchers have asked people this question, how much they believe is enough. And what these studies show very clearly is that almost everyone agrees that there is an enough line. A line where people believe that more money won't make a big difference. A line where once reached, people think that they have enough money to fully flourish. Exactly where people draw the enough line depends a little bit on where in the world researchers ask. So in the Netherlands, people say that $1 million is enough. In the US, people say that $5 million is enough. To me, the most interesting takeaway from these fascinating studies isn't the exact level of the enough line. Instead, what I find the most interesting is that most people do not agree with Rockefeller that there is no limit at all. Almost everyone agrees that at some point, enough is enough. Another interesting thing to note is that even in rich countries, like Sweden, where I live, most people will, in reality, never get anywhere near these enough lines. So in Sweden, the median wealth per adult is $78,000. In the United States, it's $108,000, and in the UK, it's $152,000. And in the world overall, the median wealth is just $9,197. So what people actually have is very far, even from the modest Dutch enough line. Another interesting takeaway is that the super rich today have so much more money than what we've been talking about so far that is just mind-blowing. So 243,000 people in the world are what economists call UHNs, ultra high net worth individuals, which means that they have more than $50 million. Of those, around 7,000 have more than $500 million. And then we still haven't even gotten to the billionaires. Stefan Persson, who I talked about in the beginning, has around $20 billion. And Bill Gates, he has around 128 billion. And Elon, he has 220 billion. So the super duper rich today, they aren't a little richer than the rest of us. They are truly astronomically richer than the rest of us. But so what? Is there a problem that a few people have these extreme levels of wealth? Well, yes, there is a problem with extreme wealth. In fact, there are several problems. There's a popular narrative among the rich today that tells this story. In the past, everyone except for the king was poor and miserable, but today, thanks to global capitalism, most of us are rich and poverty is about to be eradicated. This narrative is illustrated by a popular infographic that Bill Gates, one of the world's richest men, has called one of his favorite infographics. This infographic shows how in the year 1820, around 90% of the world's population lived in extreme poverty. And then over the following 200 years, this share has fallen to only 10% in 2015. And it's easy to understand why billionaires like Bill Gates like this graph, because in this remarkable graph, it looks like poverty is just vanishing almost on its own. And if that's true, then we can maintain the economic system we have. There's no need to look critically at extreme wealth concentration. But there are many researchers, for example the economic anthropologist Jason Hickel and the economist Haiyun Chang, who argue that this narrative that poverty is just about to be eradicated is misleading. These researchers point out that we don't have any accurate information about global poverty from before the year 1981. So instead, graphs like these make tenuous assumptions about people's incomes rather than their actual needs, with the result that we overestimate how poor people were in the past and we vastly underestimate how poor many people are today. So despite what the dominant narrative says, in absolute numbers, there is arguably more poverty in the world today than ever before. And to me, that is the first problem of extreme wealth. Extreme wealth just cannot be morally justified when that wealth could be used to alleviate extreme poverty.
Now, I just want to add one thing in there, that this is a problem where we believe things are progressing over time, and that's a false assumption. Some people have this assumption that over time things are just getting better. Like, we believe in progress, that with increase in education and everything, humans are becoming smarter, better. And there are many such cases where human beings are doing better in certain domains, like running and stuff like that. But it is not necessarily true. So it could be very well that things are getting worse in some areas, and that's just how it goes. So that's something that I just wanted to add to what he was saying. And then there was one more thing that I wanted to say, which was that poverty doesn't always have to do with how much stuff you have. You could argue that people in the West have a lot of stuff, but some people view poverty as not having freedom or economic freedom, being able to do what you want. So you're able to eat what you want, you're able to move and migrate where you want, live where you want and everything. So though people may be doing better in the West, is it perhaps that people have to work more? They have less time, they have less leisure time. Maybe the people in the poor in the past had more leisure time. They may have not had much stuff, but they had more leisure time and time with their family. I don't know. These are all just questions putting out there because we can't necessarily assume we know these things. And so, yeah, that's just something to question.
This is late billionaire David Koch. Even though he has never been elected, David, together with his brother Charles, did more to shape American politics than few others. Over the years, they've donated and raised billions of dollars to climate denial organizations, gun rights groups, and the Tea Party movement that arguably paved the way for Donald Trump. This is the billionaire and media mogul Rupert Murdoch. Through his media outlets like the News of the World in the UK and Fox News in the US, Rupert was instrumental in getting Britain to vote for Brexit and the US to vote for Donald Trump. This is Elon Musk, the richest person in the world. So in 2022, he bought one of the world's largest social media platforms, Twitter, so that he can use it for his own political agenda.
And now he just spends all his time shitposting.
Something that is key to both democracy and capitalism is the concept of decentralization. In contrast with regimes like the Soviet Union, Nazi Germany and North Korea, where the power and the economy was centralized under dictatorial rule and where a ruling class controlled resources and suppressed political dissent, our democratic and capitalistic system relies on the decentralized principles of one person, one vote, and a free market. But extreme wealth undermines the principle of decentralization, and it threatens both democracy and capitalism, because as the Koch brothers, Rupert Murdoch's and Elon Musk's actions show, extreme wealth can easily be translated into political power and also into market power. And as Martin Gilens explains in his book Affluence and Influence, research shows that over the last few decades, policy outcomes almost always favor the richest. To take just one almost mundane example, in the 1990s, the Swedish government gave the Swedish H&M billionaire Stefan Persson a tailor-made tax break that saved him millions and millions of dollars. If you want to learn how the rich are using their power to rig the tax system, check out my previous video where I use Lego figures to explain how that works. With extreme wealth, we also get extreme inequality, and there is a growing body of research showing that inequality in itself creates social problems. As inequality increases, so does crime, child bullying, mental health problems, teenage pregnancies, corruption, the list goes on. And if you want to learn more about how inequality in itself creates social problems, check out my previous video, Why Inequality Matters, more than you think. So extreme wealth maintains extreme poverty, undermines democracy, and it creates extreme inequality, which is ruining our societies. So is there anything we can do about extreme wealth? 2000 years ago, Plato argued that the wealthiest people in society shouldn't be allowed to own more than 4 times more than those who have the least. 4 times? Just imagine what Plato would say about the fact that today the world's richest 1% own 43% of all global financial assets. The idea that we should limit how much wealth one single person can have is not new, it's not radical, and it's not left-wing. If anything, I would say that this idea is conservative. Not only Plato, also Aristotle, Thomas Aquinas, John Locke, John Stuart Mill and John Maynard Keynes, all of them have argued that a good life requires limits on wealth. Even the father of capitalism and the invisible hand, Adam Smith, thinks that wealth needs to be limited so that real virtues can flourish. One person who argues that we need to revive these time-honored ideals of limits is the Dutch author and professor of philosophy, Ingrid Robbins. In her book Limitarianism, Ingrid proposes that we implement 2 limits on how much wealth any one person can have, one ethical limit and one political limit. The ethical limit, which Ingrid suggests should be set to $1 million, corresponds roughly to the enough line that we talked about in the beginning of the video. To amass more wealth than this shouldn't be illegal, but unethical and socially irresponsible. And today there are around 59 million people in the world with that much wealth, which means that the ethical line at the level that Ingrid proposes would affect less than 1% of the world's population. The political limit Ingrid suggests should be set to $10 million. The idea with this political limit is that over time, our laws and institutions should make it illegal to amass more wealth than that. And today there are around 2.8 million people without much wealth in the world, which means that the political limit at the level that Ingrid proposes would affect only around 0.03% of the world's population.
In fact, this trend towards growing inequality is not unique to America's market economy. Across the developed world, inequality has increased. I believe this is the defining challenge of our time.
It's now been 11 years since Barack Obama called inequality the defining issue of our time, and since then inequality has only gotten worse. What we need right now isn't more talk about inequality. We need action, and that's why I appreciate what Ingrid Robin's Limitarianism project is trying to do. However, I believe the libertarian principle is needed not only for the extremely rich. So many of us who aren't extremely rich but live in wealthy nations already have way more than we need, yet we choose to participate in a relentless rat race to get even more money, to buy even more stuff. A rat race that is making us miserable and that is ruining our planet. Here's the uncomfortable truth. If you think you need $1 million to fully flourish, odds are that you're stuck in a Rockefellerian trap where you will never have enough. So I believe what not only the rich but all of us desperately need right now is a renewed ethics of enough. To quote the Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu, "He who knows he has enough is rich."
All right, so I really like that documentary. I like this dude. I like the way he makes his videos. He puts a lot of effort in them, and I think that's phenomenal. When it comes to limitarianism, as it was called, I don't believe that we can put in limits, and I wouldn't argue to put in limits, but the video really opened my eyes to that, and I'm open to that idea. I myself believe that people shouldn't want to amass such levels of wealth. And then one thing that he also didn't talk about is that how does that wealth actually look? Like, is that wealth liquid? And a lot of people in the comments, so he got a lot of hate in the comments. A lot of people are calling him a socialist or a Marxist and everything. And then people are just pretty much angry and everything. But I think that the truth is that with respect to the way this world is, looking at other animals, looking at other systems on planet Earth, you'll see that there's an overall system with a set of rules, and that rule is there are hierarchies pretty much everywhere. And most of all games that are played among different kinds of species and everything is winner takes all, essentially. And I think that that's just the way it's going to be no matter what. You're always going to have human beings trying to find ways to get as much as they can, just hoarding. And that's something that we have to fight off. Now, I would be okay with not having hoarding all these resources and everything. And I think that the best way to fight it is to really just have a set of ethics and values that you believe in, and really just vet people that also share those same ethics and values. As far as like having everybody in the globe follow that same system and everything, that same ethics and those same values, I think that's almost impossible to do. But I want to look at some of the comments because, yeah, a lot of people were disagreeing with this and they didn't like this. So the top comments looks like I have the newest comments. So let's look at the top comments. Billionaires should not be illegal. They should be impossible. Seeing this from a third world country where rich is becoming richer and poor is becoming poorer. The richest guy in my country has $110 billion, but average salary is just $300 per month. Such a cruel world. Funny thing is, people will call this communism, but they clearly didn't read Adam Smith, the founder of capitalism, who thought the role of government was to keep markets healthy, which meant making sure there's enough competition and no monopolies or too much concentration of capital. The guy was very worried too much capital concentration will make rich people control politics. I don't know if that's true. If it is true, I mean, it's pretty obvious, but the thing is that you can't expect people in this world to not want to have all of the power and take as much as they can. The only way that can be stopped is if, again, a group of people are able to maintain this set of ethics and values that suggest or say that this is bad. And essentially, if somebody starts doing that, they either get, removed from life or they get removed from the community. And the thing is that even if you do have a community that follows those ethics and values, what are the chances that somebody doesn't just get the scratch or the itch to, try to get as much as they can, more so than others? I don't know. I mean, these are all questions that nobody really has the answer to. We could all try, we could put in limits, but let's say we put in limits and there are people that find some trickery, some ways to get around it and still amass absurd amount of wealth. People seem to misunderstand what we should be doing. It's simple. If the company makes more money, pay the employees more. The gap between what the CEO and the lowest paid worker has gone up by 2,000% in the past few decades. This is why we can't afford anything. The employees don't take as much risk, but still contribute to the success of the company. A multi-billion-dollar company like Target should be paying their employees very well, according to, I'm sure there's more good stuff in there. Nations with higher reported happiness tend to be the nations that are more equal in income and wealth, and vice versa. I don't know in which direction the causality runs, or if there is some different common cause, but this seems worth keeping in mind. Also, countries, I guess, a lot of people are actually making really good points. It looks like a lot of people are agreeing. I guess I may have just, the last time I looked through the comments, maybe I just put a little bit more emphasis on the people that were saying that he was a Marxist or whatever. My biggest problem with putting in limits is who is responsible for controlling that. That's my only problem. And the idea of power and people having the power to enforce certain things is the thing that makes me worried the most. Because the truth is that who is worthy of such power? Who is worthy of such power to tell people what they can and cannot have? And that is the biggest problem that we have, is that most people don't want to sign away that right. They don't want to sign away the freedom and say, okay, we select this person as the person to control, to enforce this. Like you get to decide how much I make. Like I'm not going to want to make any more than this. I'm not going to want any more wealth than this. But still, just in case, I want you to have the ability to tell me what to do and what not to do. And I think that's the thing where this idea gets a little shaky. But what are your thoughts? What do you think about this? Do you think that putting a limit on is the best thing that we should do? Do you think that we have a huge problem of income, wealth, inequality, and everything? So let's see what you have to say in the comments. I'll jump in, be a part of some of the discussions if there are any. But my name is Roman Kenrick. I do some reactions. Sometimes I do cultural commentary videos. I do other videos too. Check out my channel trailer and see after watching that trailer if that's something that you want to be a part of, and then you could give me a follow. But make sure to hit the like button if you like this video, and I look forward to next time.